Hey everyone, in today's video, we're going to be covering a hot button topic around Social Security. Is Social Security broke? Now, if you're new to this channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Eric Scheidak. I'm the head of research here at Safeguard Wealth Management. I'm also a National Social Security Advisor certificate holder. And so Social Security is a big asset for a lot of families. And in the coming weeks, months, and years, there's going to be a lot of talk around is Social Security going insolvent? Is it going broke? And so there's going to be a lot of fear-mongering from financial media, from financial advisors. And what I want to show you in this video today is I want to make sure everyone's making clear-headed decisions around Social Security. We should never be making decisions in any part of our retirement based in fear. We should step back, make clear-headed, rational decisions. Okay, and by definition, if you're making a decision in fear, it means you are not making a clear-headed decision. Okay, so we're going to be covering this topic from a bunch of different angles and really analyzing, is Social Security broke? Now, before doing so, if this is your first time on our Safeguard Wealth Management YouTube channel, we release videos weekly around retirement, how you can improve your retirement and get more out of the assets that you already have. And we're expanding this channel rapidly. We're continuing to release videos weekly, a few times a week. So if you like these kind of videos, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell. You'll be notified of all future videos that we release. So let's go ahead and get into it. What is spurring on this discussion? What's going to be spurring on this discussion in the coming, again, weeks, months, and years? Well, the latest 2021 Social Security Trustee Report was released a few weeks ago, and there were some potentially alarming things within this report. As we can see here, I have a snapshot of just kind of a summary of this report. The big kind of headline that's going to drive this discussion around is Social Security broke is that they moved up the insolvency date 1 year earlier. Okay, so basically what that means is previously it was thought that the Social Security Trust Fund would run out in 2034. At that point, payroll taxes would only be able to cover 79 cents on the dollar for every benefit promised. Well, because of COVID, because of 2021 and all of the economic concerns, payroll taxes were down. More people were retiring earlier and filing off Social Security. And so basically these things translated to them moving these estimates up 1 year earlier. Okay, and so in the coming weeks, months, and years, you're going to see the financial media, financial advisors really grab onto this headline and use it, again, I think to fear-monger a lot of retirees into making the wrong Social Security decisions. So let's analyze this topic from a bunch of different angles. First off, let's talk about what this means. Okay, what does insolvency mean? What does going broke mean? Because most people think if Social Security goes insolvent, if it goes broke, that means there's no system left. And that's not at all what this report is talking about. It's never been what this report is talking about. Okay, so there's a couple distinctions that are important to cover. First off, when they're talking about Social Security's trust fund running out, basically what the trust fund is think about it like a savings account that you have set aside. Social Security Administration has this savings account set aside. Basically, this savings account is meant to be used if tax revenue coming in doesn't cover all of the Social Security benefits promised. And so basically, they're starting to take from the Social Security Trust Fund. This trust fund has been built up over years. Congress has taken from it in the past. They've given back to it in the past as well. But basically, this savings account is set to run out in 2033. At that point, payroll taxes, okay, as you have workers that are earning income, they're paying in 6.2% into Social Security. The employer is matching that. So that's payroll taxes. Those payroll taxes are still set to cover 78% of scheduled benefits well into the 2090s. Okay, so really when we talk about insolvency, this is a big topic that's often overblown as well. Because at the very least, if nothing has changed, if benefits do go down, there's only going to be a 22% cut. Now, I'm not happy about that. It would be a cut across the board for everybody. But nonetheless, when we talk about insolvency, we have to talk about it within context. Okay, and again, at the very least, payroll taxes are set to cover 78% of benefits well into the 2090s. Okay, so we're basically talking about this trust fund here when they talk about insolvency. So that's important to understand right off the bat. To many of us, broke means there's no benefits left at all. Again, payroll taxes will still cover a large majority of benefits. But let's even go further because I don't believe that we're going to see really any cuts across the board. And so let's analyze this through a game theory lens at first. So if we think about Congress's job, Congress is really the party that can fix all of these issues with Social Security. And if we think about this from a game theory standpoint, what is the sole goal of congressmen, congresswomen? Well, it should be to lead the public, to benefit the public. But if in reality, it's actually to get reelected, okay, if we're being as honest as possible. And it just so happens the largest voting bloc in America right now, they're not the largest generation, but the largest voting bloc is the baby boomer generation. Okay, and that baby boomer generation is starting to move into taking Social Security. So if you're a congressman or a congresswoman, the fastest way to get unelected is to make some changes to Social Security that cuts benefits. Because again, so many retirees have relied on Social Security, have built it into their plan, that I believe, first off, that Congress's number one goal in the coming years will be to fix Social Security. I think a lot of the fear-mongering that's going on is to actually get people to take Social Security early, because the earlier that people take Social Security, the bigger penalty they have for doing so. Therein lies essentially a hidden way to keep funding Social Security by recipients taking less from the system. Okay, let's go into this further though. The Social Security fixes, the changes that Congress can make, I think are a lot simpler than you might think. I'm going to go over here into the browser. And Committee for Responsible Federal Budget has an awesome interactive tool called the Reformer. Okay, and there's a bunch of different things that you can play around with. I'm not going to show every different change that they can make here, but there's a lot of different tools that you can play around with that can project out and estimate how these changes will translate into fixing Social Security. Notice that this hasn't been updated since the latest 2021 report, but nonetheless, it'll still give us a decent idea of projections going forward into the future. Now, you can mess with benefit formulas as far as raising the full retirement age from 67 to 68, doing a lot of those things. What I want to focus on here are revenues, okay? And for those that don't know, right now, Social Security, the amount of Social Security taxes that you pay in is capped at the first $142,800 that you make. So I live in the Cheesehead State. We're big Packer fans here. So let's take somebody like Aaron Rodgers, who makes something like $35 million a year. Okay, he only pays Social Security taxes up to the first $142,800. So something that's already been talked about as a way to fix the Social Security system is to basically uncap that payroll tax and have all income subject to these payroll taxes. And so if that change is made, what we'll see are some big fixes for Social Security. We see Social Security still remains insolvent, but the trust fund will now run out in 2054. At that point, there's only 11% cut to benefits. Yet another thing that's often discussed is a slight bump in payroll taxes. So let's say it went from 6.2% to 7.2% for employees. What would happen if that change was made? Okay, now we see Social Security solvency or insolvency run out to 2080. At that point, a 13% benefit cut. Okay, if we eliminate that and instead they make a change where they raise the full retirement age from 67 to 68, coupled with this change here, again, now we see 2060 it's run out to. So there's all of these different changes that can be made. The point being that some of these changes are already being discussed about, and they're a lot simpler than most people think. Okay, and again, you can jump into this tool here, play with it, find some changes that really make Social Security solvent indefinitely. Okay, so that's my big message here. A lot of the fixes are simpler than you might think. I think Congress could make these changes right now. I think we'll see these changes made as we come closer in the coming decade to 2033. And my big message here is, again, those fixes are simpler than many people think. But even let's stand back a second and let's say they don't make those fixes. Okay, often people think the government needs to work like a household budget, where everything, the outflows need to equal out to the inflows. And we already know that's not true. Not necessarily saying I agree with any of these changes. I agree with the government taking on more debt. But nonetheless, we know that this has been the MO going into the past. Okay, the national debt has been skyrocketing. There hasn't been a real urge to make sure that all of the inflows match the outflows. And so again, at the very least, Congress can just take on more debt without making any changes and still fix the Social Security system. This seems to be what they've been doing in the past already. So again, message here is there are a lot of easy fixes for Social Security. Social Security is much more solvent than you might think. And at the end, Congress doesn't even need to make those changes because again, they can just keep adding to the national debt. But what I want to talk about as you talk through and hear a lot of data and a lot of messages around Social Security's insolvency, beware of the incentives. Okay, let's talk about the news media first. Okay, I have a bunch of different news channels on here, and what you'll see in the coming weeks, months, and years is a lot of fear-mongering around Social Security, talking about Social Security is growing broke even faster. And again, what is the news media's incentive? It's not to make sure your retirement is as stable as possible, right? No, it's to get eyes, get attention on their content. And we know what bleeds leads. Fear-mongering sells, unfortunately. And so again, they're going to take a headline and essentially say Social Security is running out sooner than ever. And by doing so, it's going to scare a lot of retirees into taking Social Security much sooner than they should. The other thing I want to talk about are financial advisors' incentives. Okay, let's say that you retire at 62, but you're planning on delaying Social Security. Well, your income has to come from somewhere. Well, if you're delaying Social Security, there's something that's created called an income gap. That income gap typically needs to be funded by what? Your retirement assets. Well, most financial advisors are paid off your retirement assets. And so what we're going to see as well are a lot of financial advisors using this headline in order to get retirees to take Social Security as soon as they retire, whether it's in your best interest or not. And so again, beware of all of the incentives around Social Security. Make sure those incentives align with you. Okay? And now Social Security is a complicated topic. This is something that we're going to be diving a lot more in depth into this channel. There's over 2,800 governing laws for Social Security, over 567 ways to file. We really want you to make the right decisions in regards to Social Security. So we're going to be talking about, in the coming weeks, doing a series talking about how Social Security is a very unique asset that you need to take seriously, and then talking about all of the different ways that you can maximize and optimize your benefit in accordance with taxes, in accordance with coordination with your other assets. But the critical takeaway here, don't make Social Security decisions rooted in fear. Okay, don't make any retirement decisions rooted in fear. You want to make those decisions with a clear head, because those decisions will affect your retirement, your life for decades to come. Okay, the most likely scenario here is that Social Security will be here for decades to come, paying full benefits to all recipients with really not too many changes affecting, for sure, those that are already receiving. If anything, some of those changes will affect younger generations like myself. Okay, so again, don't make Social Security decisions rooted in fear. This is too valuable of an asset to your retirement to not get right. You want to make sure you maximize your Social Security benefit and improve your retirement. And why would that be? Well, it's because of this model right here. You don't need more money. You need a better plan. Using the assets that you already have, like Social Security, to move your retirement forward, to build more wealth in retirement. Again, if you're interested in learning more about Social Security, how to maximize your benefit, how it coordinates with the rest of your assets, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Again, we'll be releasing videos in the coming weeks on this exact topic. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any comments or questions below. And again, have a great rest of the day. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Always remember, you don't need more money. You need a better plan. Thanks for watching.